Hello and welcome to the Open Telecom Cloud Community webinar, as always hosted by the Open Telecom Cloud Community Portal. Today we have brought a very nice topic and a topic which was asked since a very long time already, the enterprise dashboard. So this is our financial dashboard we are having here within the area of Open Telecom Cloud. And as you can see here, with this tool, you can keep track of your usage of the financial data. Martin Hoffmann is the speaker of today's session for giving us this nice overview about the enterprise dashboard. And yeah, let's hand over to you and have a great webinar. Thank you a lot, and let's have a great next 1 hour.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. Also, thank you to you that the enterprise dashboard is also a hot topic for you all. So yeah, let's dive into and I think we first have a look what we will do today. Of course, we are talking about the enterprise dashboard and how to keep track of your usage data and financial data, and what other stuff you can do with the enterprise dashboard. So let's come to our agenda. First of all, we will talk about some general information where you can find information about the enterprise dashboard. Connected to that is also the documentation part, which is very important also for the rest of our webinar today. Because I will reference quite often to the documentation, because we need the information which is documented there. So important part in my opinion. Then we will have a look on ready-to-use dashboards, because you can already use some graphs and analysis out of the box. So we will have a look what you can do with that already. Then we will talk about user management, how you can invite your colleagues, do permission stuff there. After that, we will dive a little bit deeper, talking about custom dashboards and alerting to often requested topics. So I think that will be a very interesting part. And the seventh point is export data. That is the point for people who are not that much into SQL, which we will need in 0.5 and 0.6. There's also an option to work with data if you don't like SQL that much. And after that, you will have the possibility to ask some questions. So let's start. As I said, first of all, we want to talk about some general information and where you can find them. And at this point, I will reference to our homepage, and there we can have a look directly where you can find information about the enterprise dashboard if you need them. You can go under products to cloud services, scroll down a little bit, and there we have it, enterprise dashboard. And here you have some general information about the enterprise dashboard, which main key features does it have. And what is also interesting is the part here on the bottom. We have 3 different versions: small, medium, and large. The difference is on the one hand side, of course, the pricing, and on the other hand side, the feature set. Today we are just working with the small tier, so all features we are using today are free to use. If you have an OTC tenant, you can use also all features we are discussing today. The medium and the large tier is for larger scale customers with more than one tenant, if you want to analyze all your usage data combined over more than one tenants. But today we are just using the small one. And that's free tier, so open to all. And you can also find some other information here, like the link to the documentation we will see later on, not later on, quite right now. Let me say right now. Next point is documentation. As I said, really important point for today. You can find it on our OTC docs. So we will also have a look there, how you can find it. And then I can give you a short explanation about what you can find there. So we go to docs, systems, and that's the starting page. And you can find it here under management and then enterprise dashboard. And you have a user guide here and an API reference. The API reference we will need also later. And under user guide, you can find a lot of basic information, and the most important one for today is the database table structure. We will need it for the custom dashboards, that we know under which database table are which information at what name. So that will be an important point later on. So we have a table here where all these points are clarified. Let us go back to the presentation. There we see what the next point is, and that's already the ready-to-use dashboard. So we want to have a look on what is already out of the box possible. I have some pictures in the slides, but we will not focus on the slides so much. We will dive into in a real world scenario and have a direct look at the enterprise dashboard in a few seconds. But if you get the slides afterwards, you can see what we have done today. So it's maybe more easier for you to understand afterwards what we've done, basically. So all you can see, we will now discover in the real world. So let me switch back. And I have already logged into the enterprise dashboard, but maybe give it a refresh. And here you see that's the plain view if you change nothing. So if you log in the first time, you will see these provided for dashboards. And you have every time a daily and an hourly view on your data. So let us maybe start with the daily view. So we click simply on consumption view daily, and now we see a lot of graphs. And we can dive a little bit into. So we have different levels on how we can look on our data. The first one, for example, is a pretty rough one. So here we have the usage for the whole tenant. So that's a tenant number for a tenant I use, for example, for testing purposes. And you can see, as I said, on a daily matter, how many consumption I have done per day. And it gets it's getting more granular. So here I can already see the categories. So the spending split on which part was used for compute services or network services or security services. And it gets deeper and deeper. Here you can already see the services and also which flavors, for example, I have used here. General purpose is an ECS, and you can already see the flavor and how much I consumed it in the time span I've selected above. So I can choose on my own which time span I want to see. So I can also choose just 7 days, for example, or I can make an own selection which days I want to see, maybe 4 or 5 days. Apply time range, it reloads, and then I see just these days. But I can also select a larger time scale. So that's the first part. And on the bottom, it gets even more granular. Then you see the different types of services you can use. As I said, for example, compute, and you can expand it. And then you see again the detailed view on compute. So which concrete compute flavors have you used? In my case, these two. And you can do that for every. For example, I never used a management service, so there is nothing. But at container there could be something. A CCE VM cluster small, but that is free of charge, so €0. That is what you can do with the consumption view daily. And as I said, let me get back to the starting page. We can also have a look on the hourly data. It's basically the same graphs, but just you can see on every hour how much you spend. So here you can see most of the time at a specific time at 19 o'clock, my consumption is the highest. So you can do an intraday analysis if you want to. but the categories are still the same. So yeah, it's just a daily analysis. So yeah, let me get to the next point, which you can do also out of the box, and that is tagging. So on the platform, you can tag your services, your instances, better to say, with a specific tag name. Or for example, CCE clusters are tagged automatically, and that is what we can analyze here. And at the top here, you can select some filters. For example, the which contract. So in my case, it's just one contract. Then you can select a tag key. As I said, for example, the CCE cluster ID. And now I want to see just one cluster. I have two clusters running, and now I want just one to analyze. I can click on it, and then I see the consumption of just this one CCE cluster. But I can tag on my own. So I can tag my instances as I want it, and therefore I can make an analysis in the end how I want it. For example, you can split applications, you can split cost centers with that, you can split everything you can imagine. The only thing which has been done is giving the instance a specific tag. You can do it manually by hand in the OTC platform, or of course using tools, don't know, like Terraform or something like that, and do it kind of automatically. So not by hand. That's what I wanted to say. And the OTC platform offers also a third option to split things in the enterprise dashboard, and that are projects. So in the OTC console, you can add under the IAM service projects. If you start with a fresh tenant, you have already two projects, and that is EUDE and EUNL. So the two regions are two different projects, and you can also split that see that split in the consumption view daily we saw just a few moments ago. And you can create your own projects and create instances under this project. So you have a quite simple splitting without using text for every instance. So it's a bit easier if you just want a rough distinction between different projects, applications, stuff like that. So that are the about text we talked already. Yeah, that's the stuff you can do out of the box without SQL knowledge. So yeah, go into the dashboards, play with the time frames, and go through the graphs and data, and have a look on that. So, but if you don't want to work alone on a Grafana or enterprise dashboard a project, you can invite, of course, other people to it. And that is done with the user management. I prepared, the path you have to go to, or the possibilities you have to invite users. Yeah, of course. First, you have to invite a user, and that's simply done with the My Workplace email address. Then the user can get an email, have to accept that, and is now part of the enterprise dashboard project, so to say. And then you can grant permissions on different levels. So for specific users or for a whole team, for example. And therefore you can create a team. Don't know if you have a team for financial experts who are into evaluating your financial data, for example. Then you can create a team with that people and granting permissions for the whole team, that you don't have to grant permissions for, 20 people. You can put them in a team and then grant permissions for the whole team, or as I said, just for a single user. And there are basically three roles: viewer, editor, and admin. And you can grant the permission for a single dashboard or for a whole folder. So we will see later. You can also create folders, put some dashboards in the folder, and then give permissions for just one folder, for example. Yeah, that's are the possibility with user management. And yeah, I think now we can get to the most interesting part, and that are custom dashboards. Yeah, with custom dashboard, you can build nearly every analysis which is not provided out of the box. So not provided by that which we saw a few moments ago. And I brought a little example with me, which we want to build right now. It will look like this in the end, but let's let's dive into the real world again, and I will show you how to make it from scratch. So that's the starting page we already saw. And now we can create stuff here, like, as I said, a folder. We can make a new folder here, and we can call it, for example, webinar. So, and under this folder, we can list different dashboards. And here I talked about the permissions. You can edit the permissions here and edit permission for user or team. In this case, makes no sense because it's I'm alone on this tenant here. Okay, so let us create a dashboard. Just click the Create Dashboard button. And then, the panel you will use the most is Add a New Panel here. That's the most important one. And this creates this view here. Looks a little bit confusing. I know it's a lot, but we will go through it part by part. The most important thing on the top here is, again, the selection of the time frame we want to have a look on. Last 6 hours is often not that optimal to see what we want to do. I often select 30 days, but the less days you are selecting, the faster the query is, because you don't have to query that much data. Okay, that is an important step. You now see it looks already quite better than before. Another important thing is the thing here on the top right. There you can select how the graph should look like. Often it's a time series, because our data is connected to time. You want to know when you used a specific amount of a service at what time. But you can also use bar charts. But not every time the data you are collecting it is compatible to the type of chart. For example, a time series is not compatible to a pie chart here. For example, if I select the pie chart, it doesn't make really sense. So we are using today the time series, but you can also play around with all the other different types of visualizations. So, but for now, we are keeping the time series. The right side, we will have a look later on. Now we want to have a look, how to say at the enterprise dashboard which data we want to get. And for this, we are using a query, and the query language is SQL. You can use this graphical editor here. It's, in my opinion, you also need SQL knowledge to use it, and I'm just more familiar with using the plain SQL text, so we will do that today. But if you're fine with using this graphical editor, you can also do that. It's the same logic. It's just you don't have to type the whole text. So what is important before we start is that the correct data source is selected, but that's already the case. If you click on it, there's one data source with these PostgreSQL elephant logo, and that has to be selected, and then we can edit some SQL, and that's the standard SQL text which is in it. If you start. And there are already some important points which are not familiar to you if you know just normal plain SQL as you would use it for MySQL database or PostgreSQL database. And that's, for example, this point. That's a special Grafana function. which uses the time selector here at the top, so that you don't have to care about selecting the data points which are actually in the time frame you have selected. That is all that is been done with this line here. $__ time filter consumption date. So consumption date is a variable which is already there by using this time selector here. And what this statement is already doing is consumption date as time. So we have so that we see it here at a time frame, so that a data point is connected to a specific time. We have three important select parts we need, and that is time, value, and metrics. Time is, of course, as I said, where to place it on the timeline. Value is the value, which value the specific data point has. So did I use the service for €5 or for €10? That's the value. And a metric. With the metric, you can give it an own name. And how does that work? We will see now. So we will change a little bit here on the query. Or let me first say what we will build. We will build again something with the CCE clusters, so that we have an overview about our CCE clusters, different CCE clusters, and how is the consumption with the CCE clusters. A quite simple, nice example. We can use to understand how to write a query here. But let me first have a look if I'm on the correct tenant. No, sorry. Let me switch to organization, because I know on this one I have some more data we can have a look on. So let me perform the steps again. So also on this tenant, make a new folder and create a dashboard. Okay, now so, and I also set 30 days. So let's start. So as I said, we have these 3 points, and we're starting with time. In our example, we want to have the time connected to a whole day. So it depends if you from what data source you are getting the data. Maybe we start with a data source that makes more sense to explain the rest in the end. And therefore, I already explained it before, we are using the documentation here from the enterprise dashboard on the user guide. So I think that's a good entry point. So if we want to get data from the enterprise dashboard, first of all, you have to look on what table the data is present. So we have the table consumption daily, for example. There is the data aggregated per day. Then we have the table consumption hourly, that the data is present per hour. Then we have some other tables which holding information about the products, for example, about tax, daily and hourly again, about the contract. So and you can every time see which data is in. For example, you can find out which currency you are paying the bill, for example, or your address you put in where the bill has to go to, and some other tables with more specific information about capacity, for example. But we will use today the daily table. That's the one here at the top. So consumption daily. So, and now we go into the dashboard and say that we want to use the table consumption daily. And we want to find out, as I said, the different CCE clusters we are using. So we and to find the CCE clusters, as I said before, we are using the tags which the CCE cluster instances are getting automatically. So that means we also need the table with the information about tags in it, and that is tag daily. So let's also add tag daily to it. And what is SQL doing now, or the database, is we have two tables, and and SQL has to combine these two tables because we have data and rows in both of them. And yeah, what we need is that we have to make a connection between the two tables. And what SQL does is an auto join, if you write it that way. So all lines are connected with each line, and now we have to specify, which of these lines we want to use from now on for our analysis, and we can do it with this where clause here. So we add some more constraints to it, which are filtering the data we have joined now. And of course, we need a time filter so that we are just getting the data from the last 30 days. And we want to add that in the consumption daily table, the aggregation ID. The aggregation ID is something like a special ID for a row, so that you can identify a specific day, and it's called aggregation ID because the hourly data is aggregated to a day. So a day has 24 hours, and if you take 24 hours, put them together, you have an aggregated day, so to say. So a day is an aggregation of 24 hours, so to say. And these aggregation ID from the consumption daily table should be the same as in the tag daily point aggregation ID. And we also want to make sure that the consumption daily dot contract is the same as in tag daily contract. So in this case, it's not really mandatory because we are using just one contract. So we could leave also this line in this case because we have just one contract in this enterprise dashboard tenant. So, and we can make one more filter. As I said, we want to filter now just the CCE clusters. So, and we can do it by key and value. So the tag daily table contains values or attributes which are called key and value. So a tag exists with a key and a value. Key is like the name of the tag, and the value is the value of the tag. So as an example, you could tag an instance with the key app number, for example, and the value could be 1, and the value of another instance with the key app number could be 2. And now you can differentiate between the app number 1 and 2 so that you have two different apps or applications. And we are doing the same, but with CCE cluster IDs. So we want to filter by the key. So we are just want to get the lines where the key, or where a key exists, which has the name CCE cluster ID. So this order by, we don't need the one, but we can order it by time, so it makes sense, and make it ascending. So, and every time you click here on a space so outside of the editor, you can see if there are some problems in your SQL statement. Now we see, for example, here's a problem: cluster ID does not exist as a column, and that's why I used double quotes here. Double quotes are we don't want to reference to a column here, so we have to use single quotes. So and this error should be gone now. We have no error, but also no data. So now we have to change what data we want to get. So if we are talking about consumption, we often need the amount of money we have spent for a specific product, and the amount of money we have spent for a specific product. We can have a look again on the documentation. So for the consumption daily table, what we have here, we have the quantity. That's the amount in the unit of a service we have consumed. So for an ECS, it would be the amount of hours, for example. And amount is the price we have to pay for the used quantity. So in this case, what we want is amount, because we want to display the price for the different CCE clusters we have used. So in our case, amount would be the correct word. But what we want to do now is to build a sum of all the amounts which are on a specific day. So could be the case that one CCE cluster is using two instances, for example. So we have two different price points in our data set, and now we want to combine it to one price on one day. So we have to sum all our amounts, which we have filtered here together. And we now want to give it a name, and that is value, as I mentioned before. And then we want to make the third part, and that is metric, as I said, so that you can see a bit better which data is displayed here. And for that, we are using the value. So from the key value pair, from the tag, we are using we are filtering for the key, and we want to display the value. So value as metric. Maybe as a hint, this value here and this value here are not the same. So it are two different things. Values with the parentheses here is saying the enterprise dashboard that this line is the data which is displayed on these axes, and value, as I said, is the name of the column in the database tag daily. So we could also, for make it clearer, we could also add tag daily here. Okay, but we have an error somewhere. Maybe we make this in double quotes. Metric. Okay, let's have a look. No, some more error must appear in the group by. Okay, so we have now used the consumption date here, and as I said, we want to display the aggregated sum of the amounts, and that's why we have to group also our data we have found. Group by, and we are grouping by as it is displayed here. We can also no, we can not copy it, so we have to type it by hand. Consumption daily dot I think it was consumption date. So group it by consumption date. So, and also by tag daily value, we can also do that, add a comma and add that. So, and now we are getting no errors. That looks good, but I'm asking why we don't see some output here. Did I select the correct tenant again? I copy what I wrote here so that we can paste it in again. Organization. No, we're on the right organization. Okay. Edit again. Okay, let me have a look what I have missed. Could be this one. Let me check it first and then I explain what I've done. No, that's not correct.
So you see, it's really a live demo. In a live demo,
Yeah.
sometimes small errors can happen, but yeah.
Okay. So let us have a view what I have changed. We can make it backwards. So this line here at the top, it groups all at the time again from the consumption date to 24 hours, but it's not really, we don't really need it in that case because we are already using the daily aggregated data. So what I have changed, that's the question. So that line we already discussed. That line also, value as metric. We already discussed that. So here we are join the consumption daily and tag daily table. We also discussed that. We are filtering for the selected time above. Then we are filtering our results by the aggregation ID, so and the contract ID. The key should be CCE cluster ID and grouping by consumption date and value, order by time. That's all we have done before. Okay, now we see data. That's good. So yeah, we wrote the query. That's the most difficult part. Often you have to make it by try and error until it works. Maybe you are an SQL pro and it's very easy for you. Then maybe it's a bit faster. Okay. So let's go on. What we can also make here, that is make it a little bit, let me say, prettier. For example, you can make from the list down under here, you can make a table out of it, put it to the right, and give also the table and the graph some units, so that you see that this one here, for example, is 0. So maybe just let me first explain what we are seeing. That is the CCE cluster ID, and with the color you can see which cluster used how much consumption or money in the time frame we've selected. Yeah, and that's just a simple example on how you can make a custom dashboard. Of course, you can make it even more complex with more joins of different tables and more aggregations. You can do there whatever you want if your SQL knowledge meets the requirements in this case. So there are a lot of options here on the right, as you see what you can do. I will just show the important ones. For example, here, as I said, you can add units. For example, we could say euro here, and then you can see that if you look on a data point, every time it is marked as 0. That's just a bit prettier to analyze your graphs. And you can also click on the different single ones, and then you see just the selected one. For example, here you see I started just a few days ago with that cluster, and before there was no consumption, and now there is some consumption. Okay. Yeah, that's a custom dashboard. You can, as I said, you can make it even more complex if you want to. Now we are coming to another very important part. Let me first save it. Yeah, we can name it the new dashboard. An often requested topic is the alerting. So with the alerting, you can get an information if your consumption exceeds a specific limit, for example. And yeah, we have to prepare some things to make it work. And the first one is to create a contact point, then create a notification policy, and then we have to combine all that. And how does this look like in the real world? We will see. Let's go to alerting. And we're starting with a contact point. So you can create a new contact point here with your contact point. And the contact point is simply the connection to a specific person or other information channel. So the most common way is, I would say, email. And now you can type in some recipients. For example, I can type in my own email of, sorry, let me just type it in real quick. So here you're specifying, you can call it test or something like that. Here you're specifying who is getting the alerting or the information about it. You also test it if the email is correct. You can also get add more than one emails by splitting it with a semicolon. Okay, but for now that's enough. Here's also some other possibilities how to inform somebody, but I think email is a good one, a good choice for this small example here. And then we are saved the contact point. That's it with the contact point. And now we have to add a notification policy. That's a really important point. The notification policy combines the contact point with the alert of we will create later on. So it decides which contact points will be informed about something. So with the contact points, you can again form groups, for example, a manager group or a financial analyst group. So maybe for some events or alerts, a specific group of people should be informed. Then you can put them in a contact point, and the notification policy decides, which alerting is provided for whom. And there are two possibilities. If you don't have different groups and you want to make it real quick and easy, you can use the root policy. Then you can edit here, click on the default contact point. Currently it's Grafana default email, but we can switch it to test and save it. And now every alert is going to the test contact point. So in this case, to my email we specified a few seconds ago. If you want to build a more complex scenario, you can use the specific routing. Specific routing means you can add a new routing policy here. It means that there is a kind of matching mechanism. So and it works with labels. For example, we can call the label __ context __. And if we later on use a label, it sounds a little bit complicated, but you will see later on how it works. If the label has the value test, so if the label contacts has the label test, then we will use the contact point test. Sounds a little bit confusing, but it will be clear in the end. I hope so. So save the policy, and that's it. So now we can create the real alerting, and we have two different possibilities to make an alert. We can connect an alert to an existing dashboard, or we can make an alerting just alone without the graphical output. But we have created a dashboard, so we can use this. So it's called new dashboard. So you remember also a few moments ago. And if you click on edit, you see here the alerting button. You can click on it and create a new alert rule. Then the query we wrote is copied here. It's the same query, but what is important here, if you update the graphical query, this one here will not be updated automatically. So if you develop your graph further, the alert will not be updated automatically. That is an important point. So if you want that your alert is progressing with your development in the graphical view, then you have to edit the alert again manually. That's important thing you have to know. But if we create an alert rule for a graph, the code is automatically pasted in here. So we have to do nothing here in this case because we want to analyze, this graph here we already developed. And therefore, we need this expression here. So you can also use a mathematical code, but in this case, classic condition is enough. And here we can evaluate again, some different stuff. So we could say we want to get an alert if the average of all used CCE clusters goes over or under a specific value. But I think the most common way to use it is to use here the maximum. So you want to know if one of the CCE clusters is exceeding a specific amount, or maybe also the sum is also important. If you want to keep track of all your CCE clusters, and in some they shouldn't be more expensive than, don't know, a specific sum in the last 30 days, or you can again change the time frame here, which time frame has to be evaluated. So, but as an example, we can use the max here. So, and we are getting an alert if this condition here is true, and we can check it beforehand. So if you click here on run queries, we see it's 1, so it's true. So what we are evaluating here is the max value of the graph here of A, so that's A, is above 3. And the max value is the red one here, and it's 6. So yeah, 6 is over 3, so we are getting a 1 here, and a 1 means we are getting an alert. So if we say is it over 8, then we are, and run the queries again, then it's a 0 because it's not over 8, and then we are getting no alert. So we could use a 5 here so that we can see that an alert is triggered at the end. So just for an example. The next important thing here is the alert evaluation behavior. So here you can specify how often the check should be run for the alerting rule. So for example here, every minute, that's maybe a bit often. But for testing purposes that you see that the alert is triggered, 1 minute is good for now. But in a real world scenario, I would prefer a longer term time frame. Just for testing purposes, I add here 1 minute and here 1 minute. This 1 minute, this 4 means how long does the alert state has to be in place. So maybe there is a problem with the delivery of data, and that's why an alerting state is occurring. But a few moments ago, it's fixed and all data is there, and everything is okay again. Therefore, this function is there to prove that the alert is real, so to say. You can wait some moments or even a day or two, don't know. If the alerting, if the cause of the alerting is still existing. Or if you make an intraday analysis, for example, at 12 o'clock, you don't have the data for the whole day. And of course, then the sum is lower than for a whole day. So you should maybe wait here 12 hours or a whole day to analyze the current day. The next important point here is the notifications. Now the label comes into the play. We called it underscore context underscore. You remember, and we built the matcher before. The matcher is getting active if the label context here, this one, has the value test. So we have to make this condition to be true. So we have to type in test here. So if this alert has a label with the name contacts and the value of the contacts label is test, then the policy we created before is triggered. So that is the point where the notification policy is connected to the alert rule. That's a kind of tricky way to do it, but that's the way how to do it. So if you don't use the root policy I showed you at first, that's the way you connect an alert with the notification policy, and I think that's the most tricky part on it. So, and now we have all information we need. I think maybe we have to add a group, but let's have a look if it also work without. No, we have to give a group name. Yeah, just call it test. You could group different alerts together so that they are evaluated at the same time. So if you evaluate something for a specific project, for example, and you want to get the results at the same time, you can group it with the same name here. So yeah, that you get the results at the same time. So we click on save, and then we have the alerting here. Currently it's normal. In a minute there should be the first run, and then we should see that it's going to the alerting state. So, but I think we go on with the next topic so that we can talk about all that, and we'll have a look on the alerting state later on. Another important topic is maybe, as I said, export data. If you are not quite familiar with SQL, and you can export data via CSV. So if you have already a dashboard and you want to get the data, you can click here on Inspect and Data. And then you are getting the data which is displayed here in a table form and can download it as a CSV. And the CSV, of course, you can you open it in Excel and make your analysis in Excel or any other tool which is compatible with CSV. And CSV is a quite common format. So yeah, now it would be time for a Q&A. I hope this introduction helped you a little bit. I know it's quite hard to get into it. Often you are spending a lot of time with editing the SQL statements, and if you're not familiar with SQL, it's hard to get into it. But I hoped it helped you to get a glance into what is possible with the enterprise dashboard.
Maybe just one at the very end from Alejandro. Is it possible to create a custom dashboard based on the daily view you have showed at the beginning, but per project? I think the answer is yes, right?
Yeah, that should be possible, of course. What you also can do, what I forget to mention, is you can copy the existing stuff which is there, and you can just edit it or change something. So if you go on the list here, you can I have to find the button, but it is possible. At least you can also here duplicate this one and can make changes here, edit. And then you can edit the SQL statements and, for example, implement also the grouping by project here. That's possible, of course, yeah. Another technique would be to add another drop down here at the top. For example, we saw it discarded. We saw it here at the text stuff. Yes, such drop downs. You can also build such drop downs on your own. That's, for example, a point. As I said, there are so many topics in Enterprise Dashboard you can use. It's impossible to clarify all points within the one hour here. So if you're interested in a specific questions, just contact me, or maybe request in another session that where we can have a look on a specific point in depth. Maybe it makes sense against rushing through all features. So today it was more like what you can do with Enterprise Dashboard in general.
A general overview, because this was now the first session related to this topic. And if you have also questions, for sure, use the Open Telecom Cloud community portal. This is why we have the portal there available. So Martin also has access to this. So when you have any questions related to the Enterprise Dashboard, put your question in the community and Martin will be there to help you out. And so looking forward to this. And as you already learned today, we are also planning to have there some updates of old blog articles and also some new publications connected to this topic here. So I would say with this, thank you a lot, Martin, for having you as a speaker in this webinar. It was really a great overview. You gave a nice introduction about the basic steps of the enterprise dashboard with the different tiers, with the different elements here. And we really got a nice end-to-end overview and also some elements where we can deep dive in future a little bit more into it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Then thank you a lot to everybody who have joined today. See you again in the next webinar. As always, usually at the last Friday of the month if there is no bank holiday in the season. So see you again in the next session. Thank you one more time and goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.